Lesson 78. Situation. What would you do if you saw someone taking something from a shop without paying?
If I saw someone taking something from a shop without paying, I'd inform the manager of the shop.
What do people normally do in situations like that?
People normally do nothing in situations like that.
Do police officers often find themselves in dangerous situations?
Yes, police officers often find themselves in dangerous situations.
Suppose. First. What do you suppose would happen if there were suddenly no water in the world?
I suppose we'd all die of thirst if there were suddenly no water in the world.
If you only slept 2 hours tonight, how do you suppose you'd feel tomorrow morning?
If I only slept 2 hours tonight, I suppose I'd feel very tired tomorrow morning.
Supposing today were Sunday, where'd you be now?
Supposing today was Sunday, I'd be in church now.
Supposing you lost your passport, what would you do?
Supposing I lost my passport, I'd immediately tell the police.
Hotter and hotter. More and more. Does it get hotter and hotter as we go towards the north of Europe?
No, it doesn't get hotter and hotter as we go towards the north of Europe. It gets colder and colder.
Do people usually become richer and richer as they become older?
Yes, people usually become richer and richer as they become older.
Why?
Because they usually earn more and more money.
Does good wine usually become cheaper and cheaper as it becomes older?
No, good wine doesn't usually become cheaper and cheaper as it becomes older. It usually becomes more and more expensive.
Ready. Marriage. How long does it take you to get ready to go out in the morning?
It takes me about 30 minutes to get ready to go out in the morning.
When do you think you'll be ready to take the exam at the end of this book?
I think I'll be ready to take the exam at the end of this book in about 3 weeks' time.
Are you always ready to lend people money?
No, I'm not always ready to lend people money.
Do you think most people are ready for marriage when they are 18 years old?
No, I don't think most people are ready for marriage when they are 18 years old.
Whereabouts? If the government of your country decided to build a new national sports stadium, whereabouts do you think it should be?
If the government of my country decided to build a new national sports stadium, I think it should be in Swansea.
Describe. Description. Just. Describe someone you know, please, one of your family or friends.
I'll describe my uncle. He's tall and thin, he has black hair, etc.
Describe the place where you live.
The place where I live is by the sea, it's quite large, there are some factories just outside it, etc.
What's he doing?
He's describing the place where he lives.
Do you think it's a good enough description?
Yes, I think it's a good enough description.
Correct. Incorrect. Is it correct to say, the book was writing by him?
No, it isn't correct to say the book was writing by him. We must say, the book was written by him.
Is it correct that 4 plus 5 equals 11?
No, it isn't correct that 4 plus 5 equals 11. It's incorrect.
As soon as. Over. What did you do as soon as you came into the classroom?
I sat down as soon as I came into the classroom.
What'll you do as soon as the lesson is over?
I'll stand up, go home, etc. as soon as the lesson is over.
When you lend something, like money for example, do you prefer the other person to give it back on a certain date or just as soon as possible?
When I lend something, like money for example, I prefer the other person to give it back just as soon as possible.
Strange. Who's the strangest person you know?
The strangest person I know is somebody I work with.
They equals he or she. When do we use the words they, them, etc. to talk about just one person?
We use the words they, them, etc. when we don't know if the person is a man or woman.
If someone lost their passport, what advice would you give them?
If someone lost their passport, I'd tell them that they should immediately go to the police.
Shut. Shut up. Be quiet. What verb can we use instead of the verb to close?
We can use the verb to shut instead of the verb to close.
If some friends were talking loudly while you were trying to study, what would you say?
If some friends were talking loudly while I was trying to study, I'd say, "Could you be quiet, please?"
And if they carried on talking loudly even after that, what might you then say?
If they carried on talking loudly even after that, I might then say, "Shut up."
Choose. Do you always choose your clothes yourself, or does someone else ever help you to choose them?
Yes, I always choose my clothes myself.
If you had to choose between having £10,000 now or £40,000 in 10 years' time, which should you choose?
If I had to choose between having £10,000 now or £40,000 in 10 years' time, I'd choose to have £10,000 now.
Why?
Because I need the money now.